So, what you're trying to say is that you fell here from another world? But when you wanted to leave and go on to the next world, your path was blocked by some unknown god?
Outlanders, your journey ends here.
What's up, my fellow gamers? It's me again, Mike, here to give you our really good news today. So before we get to that, a bit of a backstory. I've been waiting for one specific game for like more than 6 months now, and it's a game developed by MiHoYo, the developer who created one of my favorite games on mobile, which is Honkai Impact 3rd. So if you haven't guessed where I'm going with this yet, GenShin Impact has finally released and I'm currently playing it on mobile. And I'm going to talk about 3 of the core elements that I use to decide if I'm going to play a game for a long time or I'll be giving it a hard pass. Now, without any further ado, let's move on to the video. So 3 of the core elements that I use to decide if I'm going to pursue a game or drop it, and this is in no particular order, is story, gameplay, and accessibility. And the first one I will be talking about today is the story element. So a bit of a disclaimer, there will be some minor or major spoilers here on this section, just because this is part of the story of the game. So at the beginning of the game, we are introduced with 4 characters, and one of them is the narrator. And according to my speculation, it's actually Paimon, the cute lolly floaty thingy that accompanies you on your journey. And we have the male and female character that you will get to choose from to start your journey with. And of course, we also have the antagonist, or I think she's the antagonist in this story. So right at the beginning of this game, it's established that there are some isekai elements on it, and it actually got me weeping out for quite a bit. And let's be honest, I love my isekai genre. I've been watching a lot of isekai animes, reading isekai manga and manhwas. Some of them are good, some of them are really terrible, to be honest. So thou shall not be named. Anyways, moving on. So this game did a pretty good job in establishing the narrative, and the first 30 seconds quickly sets up the tone and the mood, and gave some expectations on what this story will progress to. And before I continue, let me just get this out there. The sustainer of Heavenly Principle kind of reminds me of a character from Honkai Impact 3rd, which is the Hersher Void. I might just be imagining things. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Anyways, moving on. So some of these parts are basically speculations at this point, since I haven't played the game for that long. I've only played it for about an hour, and I keep running into things that keep distracting me because I have the attention span of a freaking goldfish. I thought these things were pretty interesting at the moment, and I keep bumping into them, since why the heck not? So one of the speculations that I have is that the sustainer of Heavenly Principle might not be a bad guy. But if she is the main villain of the story, they did a really good job in setting her threat level. She instantly hocus pocused one of the twins out of the equation and sealed the powers of the main character. So from a story standpoint, that in itself is kind of a cliche, but is necessary to set up a narrative and a goal for the players to achieve. And what I do like about this is that they didn't show the characters as too overpowered or too underwhelming. Just let's be real here, some games do this in one way or another, and at some point in the game, it kind of disillusions you to what the end game will actually be. Also, I like the fact that they have dialogues that you get to choose from to reply to conversations. Some of the dialogues are really funny, some of them are just weird. I don't know, maybe it's just me. On that note, I'm not quite sure if there are any detrimental effects with the endgame regards to the dialogues. I'm hoping there isn't, but if there is, I might have screwed myself a little bit because, let's be honest, I have the attention span of a freaking goldfish and I kept clicking on stuff when I shouldn't be. And with the story out of the way, let's move on to the gameplay. So right from the start, the gameplay feels and looks like Breath of the Wild, which is, in a way, is a good thing. But in my point of view, Genshin Impact is like Honkai Impact on steroids. And here's the reason why. So for any of you guys who haven't played or have seen Honkai Impact 3rd yet, a few of the more noticeable elements in that game can be seen here in Genshin Impact. And one of the gameplay mechanics is the ability to switch between characters that you have equipped or the characters that you have available. The only difference is that instead of summoning Valkyries, you get to summon knights, adventurers, or even mages, which are part of the story. The second thing that I noticed that is quite similar to Honkai Impact 3rd, which we'll just call High 3 for simplicity's sake. And for you mobile gamers out there, I'm looking at you guys, and you have probably figured this out if you've played the game as well. It's the layout of the movement and the attack and dodge button. It's so similar to High 3. So what I'm trying to say is that it came to me so naturally that I didn't even notice I was playing a different game. I thought I was still playing High 3 for some reason. And for me, that is making a huge statement. And since I'm playing this on mobile, I cannot stress enough how similar this feels to High 3. The way the camera pans around and locks onto targets, the way the attack, dodge, and some of the skill buttons have been laid out, and the freedom to switch between characters that you have available. So the only thing that's kind of tripping me out at the moment is how the movement buttons work. Since in High 3, you're only able to run using your characters since it's locked onto that mode. And here you're able to walk around slowly. Also, the presence of the jump button is kind of weirding me out because it's also the button you use to, climb around walls and stuff. Which, in all honesty, High 3 doesn't have. You're only able to jump from one platform to another on the open world mode if the prompt appears. It's not available all the time. Another thing that I noticed that is kind of similar but different in a way is the companion that you have. So in High 3, you have these companions that you can unlock or upgrade called elves. They are basically mini paimons that have skills of their own and contribute to your combat. The only difference is that you don't start your journey with them available. You unlock them around level 50, I believe. And that's just some of the major gameplay elements I see from Honkai Impact 3rd that they have integrated here in Genshin Impact. So my first impression with this game for playing it about an hour, this is a really good representation of the action RPG genre. So since I'm still in the early game, there are still a few stuff I need to discover and I want to play around with so I can get a better feel and grasp for its mechanics. So that concludes it for the gameplay elements. Now we're moving on to one of the most important things for me, which is accessibility. So what I mean by accessibility is what platforms is it available on, how much does the game cost, also do you need a really high-end device just to be able to play it, and what are the things that factor in your overall gameplay experience. So to start this off, this is available on PC. It's also available on the PS4, and I believe it will be available on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, it is available on mobile since I'm playing it on mobile, but I'm not quite sure if this is going to be available on the Xbox since I don't own an Xbox console. So moving on to one of the most important factors which us gamers decide if we are going to play a certain game or not, and that is the price tag. So I can already feel some of you guys are holding your breath since you might not know, but to ease your minds, this game is free to play. So since this game is free to play, there will be some microtransactions in it. There has to be a way for the developers to make some money. On that note, I'm not sure if this game will be pay to win. We'll figure that out in the near future. And to be honest, I haven't seen the cash shop yet since I was so busy getting distracted that I kinda didn't think of that at the moment. So now we're moving on to the topic of hardware compatibility or accessibility. So I'm really sorry for you PC users out there, since I won't be able to give you any reference on what sort of computer you will need to be able to play this game, since I'm using a really potato-ish laptop at the moment. Now, for you console users out there, brothers, rejoice, because the only thing you will ever think of and worry about at the moment is your download speed. Because, that is crazy. Like, my download speed is so that I am super freaking pissed off at my service provider right now. And it seems like they don't even care. It's been 4 months since I've been complaining non-stop. I've been paying my bills on time, but nothing is getting fixed. So, those frustrations aside, for mobile users. So, I'm using a mid-end device, and my phone has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 730 on it, which is octa-core, 2.2 gigahertz, and it has a GPU which is a Qualcomm Adreno 618 on it. And with that in mind, I was able to run the game at mid graphics. I did try pushing it to high, but after 15 minutes, my device got a bit toasty. So I suggest you do that if you have a high-end device. And if you do, the only thing that you will ever think of is the amount of space that you will be using, because it's like almost 6 gig of memory on your storage. So if you have like less than that space, I suggest removing some files that you don't need or some apps, and you'll be good to go. So to summarize everything up, this is really good game. It's free to play, the story is engaging, and has a really good gameplay, which, for the most part, hits a lot of nostalgic parts on my brain cells. So if you guys did enjoy this video, hope you give like a thumbs up and tell me what you think about this game in the comments down below. Don't be shy, go ahead, I welcome it. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Help me reach 100 subscribers, which is my short-term goal for now. Also, click on that bell icon to turn on notifications so that you won't miss my next video. I'll try posting regular content for this game if I don't get distracted too much, since I have like short-term memory and my attention span's like super short. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay frosty and